episode number 11 of Leading Off, as tonight ESPO and I will discuss the latest in baseball news and notes. Plus, we are going to assemble another lineup card. This one's going to be interesting. The team we're putting together is known as the Subway Sluggers, which is the best of the current Yankees and Mets team. We're going to combine them into one team for tonight's lineup card. Should be a lot of fun. Plus, ESPO and I take on another Who Am I tonight on Leading Off. And we are live. This is episode number 11 of Leading Off, live from Studio 69 in New Jersey and REM Studio in Staten Island, New York, airing exclusively on Twitch and powered by StreamYard. And welcome back to the show on this Monday, Memorial Day Monday, that is, May 31st, 2021. I am your host, Rich Rivera. And I'm being joined by the man who's always on the right side of your screen, ESPO. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you for that lovely intro, as always. It's a pleasure to be leading off once again. After a bit of a brief hiatus for us, it's been a busy few weeks, but a lot of baseball to go over. Mostly good for these guys. Mostly good for your guys, but we're getting to that part of the season where we find out who's for real and who's faking it. So. Happy Memorial Day to you too, Rich.
Thank you, sir. And it's been an up and down season for both of our teams. Luckily, your team has remained in first place. My team is kind of like in the middle of things right now, but we'll get into that and more later on tonight. You actually just came back off vacation, which is why we weren't on the air last week. How was your vacation?
It was wonderful. Some sunburn notwithstanding. It was a great trip. Some much needed rest and relaxation. I got some Cuban food in Miami, so the trip can be considered a success.
There you go. Good man. And it's good to hear you were down at South Beach. I just got back off Atlantic City. You literally just got back. So I'm fucking shot. And I thought like maybe it'd be a good idea to get some coffee and but it's fucking Memorial Day.
You're drinking, aren't you?
Party rolling, baby. We're going to keep the fucking party rolling. Leading off.
I respect it.
It's Monday. It's Memorial Day weekend. We want to obviously honor all our troops that we have lost over time, and obviously would like to pay tribute to those who are also still serving and doing their thing, for us and for our rights. And we love you all. We thank you all, and those especially who have passed on. And this is why we have this holiday for you all. But let's get into some baseball, because what's not more American than Major League Baseball? So let's get into it. With Ducks on the Pond, which is our segment where we cover all the news and notes happening in the baseball world. We're going to start it off with injuries, Alex, because who's Alex? ESPO, what are we going to do here? We're going to talk about injuries, which we always do. I can't fucking talk today. Haven't even drank this fucking White Claw yet. This is nuts. So we're going to start off with injuries. First, let's talk about Trevor Story, who's obviously in the middle of a lot of trade talks, possibly going to be going elsewhere at the deadline. He goes down with inflammation in his right elbow. He's on the 10-day IL. Hopefully the minimum for him and for a few of these guys that you see a ticker below you. But yeah, Trevor Story, a big loss for Colorado. That's having obviously a Colorado Rockies kind of season.
Right, yeah. And as you alluded to, the only real implications of Story's injury, at least in the short term, is his trade value. Because let's face it, the Rockies, they're probably the worst team in the major leagues, and they're not going to be going anywhere for at least the next few years. So it's without a doubt in their best interest to move him this summer. So they have to hope that he'll be healthy by, late June, early July, which all indications that he will be. So they'll definitely be holding their breath to make sure his trade value can come back strong. But other than that, there's not a whole lot that's been going right for Colorado now.
Colorado, they are fucking horrible. 20-34, 370 winning percentage, 13.5 out of a very, very wild West National League division there with the Giants. The Padres and the Dodgers are all neck and neck right now. But
the Giants still in first?
Giants are still in first, 33-20. 33, by the way, is the second most amount of wins across baseball under Tampa Bay, which have been unbelievably hot. They're 35-20 after another win against the Yankees. I think they won their last 16 of 17, I believe. They are just on fire right now, the Tampa Bay Rays.
They just always find a way. You got to give credit to them. I mean, they made those trades in the offseason to get rid of key talent, and they just keep winning. It's baffling.
And I remember when we did our preseason rankings of the teams when we were going through them on Twitter, you had said you're putting more disrespect on Tampa Bay. And I was like, well, Tampa Bay never really made any improvements. And yet here is a guy like Rich Hill still winning games and dominating the Yankees, which should be a team that should be at the top of the division. So it's crazy what's happening in Tampa Bay. They always seem to find a way. Michael Brantley also down 10-day IL, right hamstring tightness. My hamstring also felt tight when I saw that happen because he's on my fantasy team, and I wasn't happy to see that. Kevin Gausman, hip tightness. He is currently day-to-day. Luis Severino, positive note, who is recovering from Tommy John surgery. He begins his rehab on Sunday, and we didn't include it on the ticker, and I forgot to mention it, but we're going to mention it now. Noah Syndergaard. Noah Syndergaard pushed back again. ESPO, what's happening with this guy? Come on.
Just give me a minute, Rich.
All right.
Noah Syndergaard, I love the guy to death, but the Mets just cannot rely on this guy to pitch. Let's face the facts. I mean, he just can't stay healthy. When he's on the field, he's fun to watch, and he's, for the most part, a highly regarded pitcher, but they just can't count on him. That's the fact of the matter. I mean, the elbow inflammation, he'll supposedly be back to throwing at the end of the summer, but I mean, what's the point? I mean, even if you can get him back on the field, he's going to be a free agent after this year, and I guess that is the silver lining if you are a Mets fan looking at the situation, is that now he's not going to be able to look for a long-term contract. I think what will end up happening is he'll just take a 1-year qualifying offer, hopefully with the Mets, to restore his value next year. But, I think as the Mets were thinking, anything they got out of Syndergaard in 2021 was going to be a bonus, and now it just looks like that might not even happen.
Yeah, it's not good stock for Syndergaard. And yes, that's a great point you mentioned there. You may have an opportunity here to bring him back for cheaper, for the minimum, which would be nice. But yeah, this stinks. I mean, it's a damn shame. This guy has potential to be one of the best in the league, and he just can't fucking stay healthy. And we're going to get into it when we do our lineup card, and the reason why we leave him off our rotation. Well, we'll get into it. Right. But yeah, it's a damn shame what's happening with Noah. And obviously, you're hoping that, again, this pushback only helps him, not hurts him. And we'll see when he's on track next. But,
on the flip side of
wishful thinking.
On the flip side of Tommy John recoveries, Severino did begin his rehab assignment. Mm-hmm. So that is at least promising for the Yankees. What's his timetable looking like?
And according to what we have on the ticker, he begins his rehab assignment. This is, I think, Sunday. He said, so it's going to be this Sunday coming up. He's going to begin his throwing program. So Severino starting to rep things up again, and it'd be nice to see him. And it would be interesting to see what kind of role Severino is going to play on this Yankee team. There's no guarantee that they're just going to throw him right into the starting rotation. This could be a guy that could be long relieving out of the bullpen for a little bit just to kind of get things back in the rhythm, and with how good the Yankees starting pitching has been, and that's albeit the Corey Kluber injury that just happened, there may be a spot where Severino may be coming out of the pen for the team when he does return, which I would think at this rate probably be August. So, he begins his rehab on Sunday, so that's going to be cool to see Severino. Now let's keep moving on here with Ducks in the Pond to some more bad news here. This is really bad news. This is just SMH news. This is just like disgusting, putrid news that I hate to even mention on this show, but it has to be warranted a mention. Unfortunately, Marcell Ozuna arrested on assault and battery charges. This was crazy because in like 2 days, it went from, all right, he's on the IL with these fractured fingers, and then this report just came out of nowhere with Marcell Ozuna, who is one of the biggest stars in the game and definitely a huge bat and a huge loss for Atlanta. But come on, guy. What the fuck, man? What are you doing?
I took a look at the story, and I did read the details of the police report, and man, it's just horrifying to read the details of that story. I mean, I know we have, a court of law, innocent until proven guilty, but for me, it just seems like this guy's got some major issues that he needs to work out, and he just does not deserve the privilege of playing in Major League Baseball, because it is a privilege to be able to play professional sports for a living, and he's just proven that he's not worthy of having that privilege, plain and simple. Right. And I think that again, we're not lawyers here, but the case seems pretty clear cut. So I think he will get punished for it, rightfully so. And it's a shame that this keeps happening, not just among professional players, but society at large. So it's just really just makes you shake your head, and there's just no place for that in the game of baseball. And man, I hope we don't see Marcell Ozuna on a baseball field anytime soon. That's really all I have to say.
No, absolutely not, especially if this is proven true, and all signs point that this is probably as legit as it could be. The Braves released a statement, though, saying, we learned of Marcell Ozuna's arrest earlier this evening and immediately informed the commissioner's office. The Braves fully support Major League Baseball's policy on domestic violence, which stresses the fullest that our society cannot and will not tolerate domestic violence in any form. Until the investigation is completed, we will have no further comment, and all inquiries into the matter should be referred to the office of the commissioner. So the Braves obviously, trying to do as much cleanup work as possible, but there's not really much more that they can do at this rate. It's going to be under investigation. They're going to have to make a move. There's a lot of people on Twitter clamoring for the Braves to just release Ozuna. And unfortunately, you have to go through this process before you even do this. You need to have the full investigation come out before you make a move like this. And this is kind of what you saw with the Mickey Callaway situation, right. and what we were talking about earlier in the year. So yeah, it's a fucked up situation, and you hate to read this, you hate to see this, especially for a guy who's respected in the league for what he's done. But like, this shit's untolerated. This is inexcusable. Doesn't matter how good you are in the fucking league, man. Yep. This shit sucks. And
Leading Off has done its own investigation, and we've determined that Marcell Ozuna is a giant piece of shit.
There you go. Take that with you, buddy.
End of story.
Last bit of news here. The MLB is going to reinstitute their pitcher limit to 13 starting in 2022, which I believe was a limit that they were going to start going into the 2020 season. Then COVID happened. They weren't able to do that. And then obviously the shortened season, they needed to expand the rosters. So going to a 13-man starting, a 13-man pitching depth, that brings us to what? 5? Can't do math. 13 minus 5 is 8 relievers, which I think is okay. I think that's feasible. I don't think that's you don't have to go over that amount. I know teams like to take advantage of the fact that they have double headers and they're trying to expense not expense the relievers as much, so they want to try to like have as many spots as possible. I think 13 is a fair amount, though. Yeah. I don't have a problem with this being
I feel like I'm generally on board with pretty much every change that the MLB has made recently, except for that goddamn second rule and extra innings.
Not every.
But, ugh, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, it's listen, I know how I feel about it. I've taken the stance against Tom a lot. I'm actually not totally opposed to the extra inning rule, but that'll be a conversation for another time, because we just don't have that sort of time. I don't terribly mind it, but I don't want to really do like 12 rounds with you right now, because that could be a 30-hour long show. All right. So we're going to move on. And before we move on to our big segment, the lineup card, I'd just like to remind you to check out Leading Off on YouTube. Our episodes are up there, so like and subscribe. And also, you can keep supporting us on Twitter. You can follow Leading Off at LOff Podcast. You can follow ESPO at
The Life of ESPO.
And you can follow me at Rich J. Rivera. I actually don't even remember the last thing I tweeted on my personal account. But follow Leading Off, because Leading Off's got cool stuff. And that's her show. So follow that. Who gives a shit about my fucking Twitter? All right.
I do, Rich.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's talk lineup card. Now, lineup card has been a segment we've done, but we never really had a name for. We kind of just figure out a topic and make a team around this topic. We did an all swag team about a month or so ago, where we talked about the coolest, the flashiest players in the league. It was a really cool thing. But now I want to do like an all-state team. And I think the guy, Dennis Haysbert, would be happy with that comment, all-state, the insurance. But we're not going to talk about Pedro Serrano. We'll talk about the all-New York team tonight. We're going to combine the best of the Yankees and the best of the Mets right now for the super team. Now, the only rule that we're going to apply here. We can use guys who are injured. We don't have to, but we can use guys who are injured.
That's a rule we needed to include, unfortunately, with all
yes.
these friggin' injuries we've had.
There's some guys you can't leave off, even though they're hurt right now. But there are some guys who you think might be on it who are hurt right now that are not going to make it for whatever reason we have. So we're going to get this started with the managerial spot. The managerial spot's going to go to Aaron Boone because Luis Rojas is an amateur at best and won 100 games multiple times with the Yankees. But either way, I honestly think both are a bad choice, but got to go with Boone.
All I'm going to say, Rich, is the lesser of two evils is still evil.
Seriously. First base, ESPO and we agreed on this guy.
Mr. Pete Alonso. He's banged up, but I think he's supposed to come back tonight. But in either case, he is the best first baseman in the Empire State.
Yeah, definitely went with Pete here. I think, healthy between Pete and Luke. I'm happy with what I get out of Pete Alonso more than Voit. I trust Pete Alonso's at bats a little more. Plus the fact the guy hit 50 homers, 2 seasons ago?
Yeah.
I mean, there's stock there. There's stock there. No matter how Mets fans feel about him, there's stock there. So Pete Alonso at first base. Second base, DJ LeMahieu. Another tough one, not necessarily tough because LeMahieu was a freaking MVP finalist last year, but Jeff McNeil is a fantastic second baseman when healthy and when things are going right. DJ LeMahieu is our pick, though, at second base.
No arguments there. All right.
Third base.
You take third. I'll take third. Hot corner. Third. I'm going to go with Mr. Gio Urshela. Yes, he's definitely proven himself to be the best third baseman of either New York team. J.D. Davis, he does have a very good bat, but again, he hasn't really stayed healthy, and he's kind of an adventure in the field. So Gio is very dependable.
Urshela is so dependable. A ground ball hits the third base. I have confidence, without a doubt, that Gio Urshela is making that play 9 times out of 10. Not even that, probably like 9.9 times out of 10. It's a high rarity that I see Urshela miss a play at third base. Love the guy there. Shortstop.
I have similar confidence in the guy at shortstop. Defensively.
Oh, yeah. Francisco Lindor is at shortstop. And, over Gleyber Torres, you got to go with the experience, the multiple All-Stars. And, yes, it's been a tough season for Lindor. It's a tough season for Torres. I still trust Lindor's glove more at that position. And plus what he's done for the game so far. I got to go with Lindor at shortstop, despite how Mets fans feel about Frankie right now.
Yeah, this was definitely one of our toughest choices to make. I mean, Gleyber, he's struggled this year, and Lindor, obviously, his offensive struggles are well documented, but the guy's still giving you Gold Glove defense night in and night out, so I think he's warranting of the spot.
ESPO, what's our full outfield looking like from left to right field?
Our full outfield, we're going left to right. We're going Dominic Smith in left. We're going Brandon Nimmo in center. And we're going with Aaron Judge in right field.
Yeah, it's actually funny looking at the lack of star power that's in the outfield for this team. But Smith, obviously, great 2020 campaign, hoping to see him, pull together for 21. I definitely have no doubts that he's gonna pull together. He's
starting to turn a corner for sure.
Nimmo in center field was tough but it's just like a process of elimination thing at this rate. Obviously, right. I'm taking the more experienced Nimmo, at least with the Mets are concerned. Right. I'm taking Nimmo over Pilar, and Hicks has been hurt and unreliable, and I fucking hate him. So
we sure as hell ain't taking Cameron Maben, Rich. No. I know that. The dude was, 0 for 26? He finally ended that streak, but
I mean, Corey Favs in our chat's taking Gardner, Hicks, and Maben in his outfield. So obviously Corey Favs is enjoying some kind of beer.
So Corey, the goal is actually to score runs in baseball, not to strike out every time. But,
I love it.
We like the
Smith,
effort.
Nimmo, Judge in the outfield, and our catcher a little tough because they all kind of stink. But we went James McCann. I know you've been saying he's turning around as of late, but I know you want to shout out a certain catcher that
I got to shout out Nido King, Tomas Nido. He's definitely been one of the Mets' most clutch hitters thus far in the season, which isn't really saying much because we've had so many injuries, but the dude has delivered. He's had some big time hits, and I just love the name Nido King. So gotta respect it.
Let's take a look at what this fucking team looks like right now.
I like the logo.
They are the Subway Sluggies. Yeah, you like that? Navy blue, the orange, the white, all in there.
This team's gonna win. This team's gonna win some games.
Yeah.
But that's just
This
the offense, man.
This
Don't
team
we have
slaps, man.
a
Look at
pretty
that
fire
freaking run.
pitching staff,
And
don't we?
that is a matchup nightmare right there. You got the switch hitter in that, splitting up DJ and Judge right there. The power bats back to back
Oh
to
yeah,
back, and then I mean that could be all strikeouts too if the pitcher's lucky enough.
true
And
that.
then you have a lefty righty at the end right there. I love it.
We
The
do.
Subway
We do
Sluggers.
have a pretty good pitching staff too, Rich, if I recall correctly.
And let's get into that pitching staff. Starting off, I guess you should start off then. Who is our ace?
Just so we're on record, who the number one pitcher is here.
Yes, go. Just
Jacob
get over
DeGrom.
it.
Jacob DeGrom, number one. The best in New York, the best on planet Earth. Cole's great, man, but don't waste your energy trying to debate it.
Cole's obviously our number 2 starter. Our number 3, 4, 5. I mean, you can make an argument for any of these three to be in any sort of order, but I'm going with Marcus Stroman in the number 3 spot. Actually, I think he's done very well for this team, for this Mets team in 2021. And I actually get his numbers up here.
He has
sub 3 ERA for Stroman to start off, a 2.47 in 10 game start, 46 Ks. Stroman, you gotta love what you're getting out of him, and you were hoping he was going to step up when Syndergaard could not and be there for this team, and he certainly has. I think he's lived up to the hype.
He most definitely has, and once again, a Met taking a qualifying offer, perhaps something Noah's going to be doing next year. But Stroman gambled on himself this year, and so far through 2 months, he's looking like that gamble is going to pay off for him. So. Right. But the remainder of the rotation, there's not no slouches for the rest of those guys too.
No, absolutely not, and some tough calls in there too. But even with the injury that just happened to Mr. Kluber, Corey Kluber does make our rotation in number 4 spot, 3.04 ERA before he landed on the IL and 53 innings pitch. Obviously threw the no hitter a couple weeks ago. Kluber has been great, and I don't think any Yankee fan was expecting this kind of bounce back for Kluber on this 2021 season. It's just a damn shame he just went down and now he's out potentially for 4 to 8 weeks. So you kind of hope you got to pull for this guy. And across baseball too, a 35-year-old pitcher who won 2 Cy Youngs, who's trying to figure himself out in New York, the hardest market to do it in. I mean, you love a story like this that you can root for.
Yeah.
Even
As
if
a
it's
Yankee fan, you're probably over the moon with the performance you've gotten out of him these first 2 months. I mean, yes, you were expecting a bounce back, but can you really say you were expecting Klubat to come back? I mean, no. And so far he's looked like it. I mean, yeah, it's a shame he's had that injury, but as a Yankee fan, you just got to hope, come September, come October, that arm is healthy, because if he is, then that is a massive arm in the playoffs to be able to use.
Who's our number 5 starter, Alex?
Number 5, one of the best signings, one of the most under-the-radar signings of the entire offseason, Mr. Taijuan Walker. He's pitched to the tune of a sub-2 ERA, one of the best free agent acquisitions in Mets history so far by that metric. But, they got him for 2 years, $20 million. Compare that to the contract that a guy like Trevor Bauer is getting, and it seems like highway robbery for the Mets. So I will say he's definitely had some batted ball luck, so I would expect the ERA to regress a little bit, but he could be a solid, middle of the rotation guy that's going to give you 6-7 innings. We'll take that every night. Now,
we did leave off Noah Syndergaard. We did leave off Luis Severino. We're probably going to get some flack for it because I just said if these guys are healthy, but these guys are just not healthy.
They're just a big if. They're
big ifs. They're huge X factors. I don't know what we're going to get out of these guys now. I mean, I feel like it's just been so long since I've seen either of these two guys on the mound in a major league stadium. So it's tough to throw those guys right into the mix again and say, yeah, top of the line. Like I just mentioned before on Ducks in the Pond, Luis Severino comes back. I don't even think he cracks the rotation. I think he might be starting off as a long reliever.
Don't know what you're going to get.
It's a total non-factor, and I can't really say, like, all right, I'm going to base it on what Severino did in 2018 and what Noah Syndergaard did in 2019. I can't do that. So I have to keep it kind of realistic, kind of new with the pitching. Walker makes our rotation, 1.84 ERA, as you just mentioned before. He's been great, so he cracks the rotation. The bullpen, Espo and I were on the same page with the whole way. Our closer, Aroldis Chapman, and our 2 setup men, Edwin Diaz, Chad Green.
Yeah, I mean, with the bullpen, you can't make any argument about the closing pitcher. Aroldis has been the most lights-out closer for the entire league so far. I mean, just I would not want to be an opposing hitter going up to face him. That's really all I can say. But Edwin, he's definitely had a bounce back year for the Mets after the terrible 2019. He was good last year, but as a Mets fan, you're still always concerned about what you're going to get with Edwin. But so far, so good. And Chad Green is just Mr. Dependable for the Yankees. Am I right?
Mr. Abused, if anything. Yeah, Chad Green's been used a lot in 2021 as he has over the last couple of seasons. But when you're that reliable, I mean, you're gonna get looked at a little more often, and that's the case with Chad O. Edwin Diaz in the 2021 campaign, a 3.10 ERA, 9 saves. Did he convert all? Is that 9 for 9? Did he blow a save this year at all? I don't know if he did.
I think he's perfect.
I think Edwin might be perfect right now, which is great. Edwin's perfect. I know Chapman's not.
Just don't put Edwin in a non-save situation, and then he'll be perfect.
There you go.
It's really strange. Some guys that if they're not in a save situation, they just shit the bed. I don't know what it is. You give them a 4-run lead, or I don't know. It must be a mental thing for these guys. But
it's wild because you could turn around and say like, "Damn, like I could take realistically any starting pitcher and make them a very successful closers." And some teams have. I mean, there's also guys who've come up through the league, they come up through the minors as a starter. They made them a reliever, and they just stayed in that spot. If you remember, Aroldis Chapman, he came
was a starter, wasn't he?
He was supposed to be a starting pitcher for Cincinnati.
Right.
Josh Hader was supposed to be a starting pitcher for Milwaukee. Yeah, it's nuts, and it just you kind of wonder like maybe that's the method we go down. I know we talked about this too, of an interesting tidbit of what if the Mets a couple of seasons ago said, "Fuck it, let's make Noah Syndergaard our closer." You think Syndergaard would be on the shelf as much? How about that 100 coming out of the fucking bullpen every single time?
That would be nasty. And I've thought about. I mean, they did use him in the playoffs against the Dodgers a couple of years ago out of the pen to good results. So maybe that is something they explore if he's able to come back this fall. Who knows? But
it's a potential move. But with the way Edwin Diaz is pitching, obviously right now it's Diaz's spot to lose. You can listen in on my next show, Savages in the Bronx, on Twitch, 8 p.m. Eastern time, as always, hosted by my co-host Tom and I. And you can follow us at Savages Bronx on Twitter, where we're going to talk Yankees. Yankees haven't really played good ball over the last week, so we're going to shit on them, but we're also going to get into our confidence rankings that we do monthly. So that's going to be on my show at 8 o'clock. Savages in the Bronx. Check it out right here at Twitch, 8 p.m. We'd love to see you there. But we're going to end our show.
Respect on the Rays name, Rich.
I think it's time I have to put respect on the Rays name. I mean, I've been giving them crap because I just feel like every time we enter these off seasons, they don't improve. They get rid of guys, and it's like, well, you just got to a World Series. All you needed was a couple of pieces to just get back to where you were, and they just figure out ways to replace these guys, and they're back there anyway. It's nuts.
They find a way.
Unbelievable. All right, let's end our show with Who Am I? This is one of our favorites to do on the program. Respo and I are going to try to get each other to stump the other co-host based on a short bio of the player that we are portraying. So I'm going to start you off, Espo, with this one.
Okay.
I was born in 1984 and drafted by the Atlanta Braves in 2002. I was a first-round draft pick. I played 12 seasons, mostly with Atlanta. I also played for the Mets, the Rangers, the Royals, the Giants, the Padres, the Phillies, and the Marlins. I was a corner outfielder who never was selected to an All-Star game, but won a Gold Glove in 2007. I'm currently a broadcaster for TBS. My nickname is Frenchie.
Jeff Francoeur. I knew it. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah, I was considering it was Frenchie, but as soon as you said that nickname, that was a dead giveaway. I mean,
that was it.
You said the Braves for the most part, most of his career, the Gold Glove. So I'm thinking guys who had a gun in the outfield, and that was definitely Frenchie, man. That was not a guy you wanted to run against. He had an absolute cannon.
It surprised me, Espo, that he didn't make a single All-Star game in his career. And then I look at his numbers and I was like,
Braves, man, he really did.
I guess it makes sense. I felt like his best season, just looking at this real quickly, full season that is, might have been his first season with Atlanta.
He knocked in 100 that year, didn't he?
Yeah, he
05
knocked in.
maybe?
Oh
04,
no! Well,
05?
actually, back-to-back years, he knocked in 103 in 2006, 105 in 2007.
Nice.
So Frenchie was a nice force in the Atlanta outfield
Okay.
back in the day, and this was the post Andrew Jones days of the outfield. So they were
Right.
definitely bleeding for a nice outfielder out there, and Francoeur stepped up for them for a couple seasons, and then he obviously he toyed around the league. So
A
yeah,
rare
Frenchie,
player, beloved by both the Braves and the Mets. You don't see those too often.
right? Crazy,
But
right? But
this
Frenchie's my
guy,
guy.
oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, so let's see if you'll get this guy here. My man here was the 2006 National League Rookie of the Year, 2009 National League batting title winner. He has been traded twice in his career. The team he was originally drafted by, he was traded away in 2005. Later in his career, he would play for the team that traded him away. Need more hints? Because I got more.
2006 Rookie of the Year, won the batting title in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should get it from there.
He played for
2006.
3 teams primarily in his career, and this might give it away. Marlins, Dodgers, Red Sox, in that order.
Hanley Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Han Ram.
Ram.
One of the many great Ramirez's of this century in baseball. One of my favorites, but man, that wasn't that guy fun to watch?
Yes, he was. And at one point was regarded as one of the best players in baseball, not named Albert Pujols. I remember Hanley was like, this young shortstop coming up for Miami. He's going to be a big deal.
He was in the 30-30 club.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. I felt like his career kind of fell apart quickly after just being so highly praised throughout the league, and then he ended up going from this shortstop in Miami, young shortstop, to like a designated hitter in Boston.
Right,
he gained mad weight. I was like, what the hell happened to Hanley?
Spending too much time with the Kung Fu Panda. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, seriously, man.
But yeah, I mean, hey, it was kind of an unceremonious end to what I thought was an all-star career. But Hanley Ramirez, he is a forgotten star of the Leading Off podcast. But yeah, he had a pretty solid career, right? Made a few million.
I guess it's a career to hang your hat on, especially when you're coming from, the Dominican Republic, 3 all-star appearances. Yeah, I mean, definitely not the worst. Definitely not Hall of Fame. Definitely not Hall of Very Good.
He's not. Maybe he could get in the Hall of Very Good if he stayed healthy for a few more years. But
I don't even think he makes the Hall of Very Good, to be honest. But Hanley Ramirez is ESPO. I am Jeff Francoeur. And that is another edition of Who Am I? And that is another episode of Leading Off in the Books. With that said, ESPO, is there anybody you'd like to shout out and thank before we send this off on this Memorial Day Monday?
Well, I'd like to thank you for putting together another wonderful show,
as
always. And, I'd like to thank the fam, as always, for tuning in. I'd like to thank our homie Corey for being a top commenter during our podcast.
Love that guy.
I'd like to thank the Mets for still winning all these games despite being hurt. We're getting our the replace Mets are over. It's time for the reinforcements.
I agree with that, and they're coming too. Alonso, Pilar, they're all making their way over real shortly to the Mets Major League roster, thankfully. But yes, I want to thank all our viewers, of course. I want to thank you, ESPO, for putting up with my crap for a half hour almost every Monday. Obviously, we're on last week, but want to thank Corey Faz for being a great viewer and commenter in our chat. It's awesome to see you, bud. And also, happy Memorial Day once again to all those who have passed on. We thank you. We love you for your service. Yes, tip of the cap. There's my hair for the first time on the show, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, thank you all. We love you all. And if you guys are enjoying the Memorial Day weekend or the wrap up of the Memorial Day weekend, enjoy. And Monday Scaries. It's real. I hate it. I definitely don't want to clock in tomorrow. Not looking forward to it, man. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you here next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. Take care.